Hello, welcome to episode 3 of the Old Shit Balls podcast with myself, Andy Thompson. The reason why our download figures have increased, BBC Cumbria's Becca Thompson and BBC Cumbria's Championship Rugby League commentator, Dan Payne.
Championship Rugby League commentator, indeed.
And BBC Cumbria's League One Rugby League commentator, Jordan Weir. League One.
So it was 15 seconds last week, and we're making about 15 seconds this week. You're going to have to beat the record at some point, Andy.
I have to cut the...
Just to jump in, I do Super League, so does that not make me the best?
Always one.
Big time. I've got your download figures.
I'll come on your podcast and I'll get your figures.
I'll do Super League now, by the way.
You've got to be all-inclusive.
Should we get rid of Jordan?
Yes.
Get to the sponsors, come on.
Stop looking at my sheet. Yeah, also like to thank our sponsor, our main sponsor, Santa Marina.
I was almost going to break into a song, like a bit of a jingle for the Santa Marina.
No, thank you.
We're not there yet. Santa Marina and Santa Marina Deli.
Yes, but the deli doesn't do the nicest penny al forno going.
Well,
but a lot of mushrooms in it.
For those that are listening this week, we are closed until next Thursday in the evening, but the Santa Marina Deli is open from 11 till 2 for the best sandwiches in Cumbria.
What do you make your dough out of, Daniel?
Sandwich dough.
You're not pizza dough anymore?
No, it's a different kind of dough. It's made like the pizza dough, but it's specifically for sandwiches. And it makes them puff up like a little cloud in the oven.
Back to the rugby.
I know. Shout out to Santa Marina, paying us £400 a podcast.
This figure's getting higher every week. £1,000 a podcast.
What beers Dan has, the higher it gets.
Yeah, point well argued.
I've not seen any of this money, you know what? He's like skipping around the streets. He's happier and happier. And
why do you think I've turned up with a bottle of Erdinger? Like, this money's going somewhere.
That you definitely didn't illegally take out of a pub.
No, that was bought from shop.
A local off license that doesn't sell.
I will shout out the shop when they start sponsoring us.
Right, okay.
Until then, it's a shop. Jordan, don't shake your head. We're 2 minutes in, son. This is going to get worse and worse.
Honestly, God. Back on with you. Come on, Andy.
I'm going to keep Dan's mic muted for this. So obviously, trying to move on to the sort of serious side of it. On a rugby league matters, unfortunately, James Newton picked up an unfortunate neck injury, fractured vertebrae, was it, Jordan? And the win against Halifax.
Yeah, really, really horrible news for James, wasn't it? You knew it was serious yesterday when walking off, which when you hear afterwards is absolutely unbelievable that he walked off. But yeah, as we speak, Newt has posted a update on Facebook a couple of hours ago, following Whitehaven's update earlier this morning. Essentially, it's a bilateral C2 fracture to the vertebrae, and he's undergone surgery for the application of a halo ring and vest, and he's going to be in a halo for the next 8 weeks, which obviously, is horrible news. We all know rugby league's a tough game, but you don't expect to break vertebrae or, have neck injuries. And, we've seen it only a few years ago with Mossy Massot at the start of 2020, I think it was. And, he's having to relearn to walk. He's mossy and, it was horrible then. And to have it to someone, obviously, who all of us probably know, obviously, through his connections, so obviously with Whitehaven and obviously south of the county, or south of me anyways, at least with Millham. Yeah, no, it was horrible scenes when he seen him leave in an ambulance yesterday, and obviously we wish him all well and the speediest of recoveries. Rugby league goes out the window in something like this, and obviously we wish him well and obviously his family and his friends and all connected with Newt, of course, on a day where he was celebrating his testimonial. He was hosting a testimonial race night. These things seem to come at the worst possible time. So of course, you never know. You may see him on a rugby league field again. That's a decision for Newt to make, and what the specialists go on, and hopefully that it can be. But if we don't, and we have seen we have seen the last of Newt on the rugby league field, I'd just like to say congratulations on what's been a fantastic career, mate. And let's wait and see. Hopefully it continues, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon, James, and speedy recovery.
Yeah, I second that. I've got nothing else to say on that. That's beautifully put by Jordan.
Yeah, I'll third it then. I think it was lovely. Yeah, like Jordan says, obviously injuries like that absolutely horrible, and it's good to see the RFL kind of taking I know it's a very controversial with, high tackles and everything, but it's good to see them trying to look out for the player welfare. Obviously, Josh Charnley the other day as well. He went off with what looked to be a horrible injury, was stretched it off, and obviously went to hospital and was given the all clear, so that's good to see. But yeah, just seeing injuries like that, it's absolutely horrible. I remember watching Barrow a few years ago, and I can't even remember who it was now, but me and my dad were there and watching a player getting airlifted off the field, and it's just, it like Jordan says, go at whatever club you support, it kind of goes out the window at that point. It's just horrible. So yeah, I've never met him actually, but I like Jordan says, I've obviously followed his career and what a career he's had, and hopefully can continue.
I suppose it's a good thing as well. There wasn't a week around 27 for the championship. Otherwise,
episode 3, and Dan's already trying to get us taken off the air. This is what a few beers does to you. You just get to hear the reaction instead. Cheers, Dan.
Really? Come on.
I might have to.
You might have to cut that.
I think I have to cut that out.
I'm only jesting. No, get well soon. Get well soon, Newt.
I remember when I had my first beer as well.
It was all getting a bit serious, that's all. It was all a bit morbid then.
They're all going to kick shit out of you, aren't they?
Oh,
After
no.
all this, Jesus.
Just adding people to this list. We'll get to that list soon, though.
Yeah, we'll pick the first game of plays you can pick fights with first. Ironically, it was one year on comms for with Mr. Graham Dale, Odd Shit Balls original, OG.
Yeah, this week. I'm scared you're going to throw some sort of weird audio at me, so I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yes, I am, because every time you and Graham are on the comms together, it gets a bit, well, you get a bit too much loving in.
Go
like last time, was it You Want to Be My Lover, Jordan? You got roped into that one, mate.
I got roped into that one, yeah.
Have you heard what this one started off with?
No, because I was working yesterday at the same time, so I didn't haven't heard anything. Come on.
I'll give you eye contact while this one's happening, mate.
And I'll just look down south. Oh my God, he has it all.
Now,
Move on without context.
Accidental partridge once again from Graham Dale.
I'll let you go on.
to put context to that, we were talking about how nippy it was at the ground, and I still had my shorts. Look, I live in shorts. I've got shorts on now. So he was looking at my shorts. So he was looking down south, as he put it, to find myself still sat in shorts. Yeah. That was that context. He wasn't looking at me penis.
That might have to get cut as well.
I'm going to have to cut that bit.
It's going to have to cut.
It's going to be an interesting pod, this, isn't it?
10-minute podcast.
I think it's a scientific term, so we might get away with it.
Dear me.
So, yeah, 24-26 for the final score. Close game, really, wasn't it? Could have.
Do you know what? We said at the start of the game, I don't think there's such a thing as a boring game at Craven Park. Yes, there's been a couple, the Doncaster one, you were in the box for that, we were in the box.
Yes, we were.
And that was a one-off. That was one of them occasions where, Becca, you were there for the commentary on that one with Graham. It was awful.
What, the commentary?
I'll just turn it away and say nothing.
No comment.
That's my first ever one.
But I mean, for the most part, no, not about the commentary. I won't make comment on that yet. Okay. But the game itself, it's always a grandstand finale with the Raiders. You wipe out the Wakefield game, they're a different class. But even the Toulouse game, we beat them in a second half performance a few weeks ago, and it was just, I think, Carrera was saying midweek that Witness Coleman, is it? Came in, Coleman, how you pronounce it, was making jokes that he'll bring the playoff trophy home and things after we've gone and got the victory at Barrow. And I don't think it set well with Paul and the players. And he used that as a bit of a motivation midweek in training. And I think it was a bit risky because, at the time before kick-off, Barrow won the last 4 out of 6 against Widnes. Widnes hadn't won at Craven Park since 2019. And he almost lost again. I mean, if it wasn't for Ryan Shaw missing a conversion off the post, it could have been a different story. It could have been a draw. But Widnes,
Are you telling me then it wasn't a sure thing from Ryan?
Sure thing. Wasn't a sure thing.
Wasn't a sure thing.
If you're going to get the puns in, Jordan, get them right.
Apparently,
for the most part, he got most of them.
It's always a sure thing with Ryan, and it wasn't, obviously.
Sure thing. It's a sure thing from Ryan. No, for a one-off, it wasn't. And it cost Raiders a point. I say it cost Raiders a point. I'm not going to put the blame on Ryan. I don't want to call my player though.
Well, you already can't blame Ryan.
Someone else on the list. It's like the list of Jericho. These, honest to Christ.
BBC's Dan Payne.
Ultimately, great game, great entertainment, great game. Barrow stay in the division. Whitehaven don't.
So yeah, you just. So yeah, before
Taking the beers off him.
up for himself. Yeah, you just touched on it there. Obviously, we stayed up in the division. Wasn't in our hands, and that's purely down to Bradford beating Swinton 50-0 as well.
Graham told me off at one point because I was keeping one eye on the score sheet from the Bradford and Swinton game rather than I was the Raiders game. I think I kind of missed the start of the Clark try. Just trying to keep my eye on what was going on at Bradford, but yeah, it was a write off by half time. I think that really.
Yeah, as Becca pointed out earlier in the podcast, before we went on the podcast, was you kind of half-assed that comms as well, considering your usual standards.
Was it because he was so far out you didn't expect Max Clark to get a try, maybe?
Listen, stop trying to add people to my I hate Dan Payne list. Yes.
Hi, guys. Sorry, this is the bit where Dan went on a really long rant about how shit Max Clark is. So unfortunately, we've had to out. Thank you.
60 metres out, and I thought, yeah, he ain't getting a try for me, is he? So I'll do some score updates, and next minute, boom, out of nowhere, the old Ginger Ninja went through and scored underneath the sticks. Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't.
You were on that side.
I was on that side. I didn't expect him to be that fast, and I don't mean that in any sort of disrespect because he's a big lad and he's built like a forward. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that pace, then like you just see it, and he just does the fullback as well.
Yeah, you wonder where that's been all season at times, don't you? You know.
And that's Dan Payne once again. Dan Payne.
BBC Cumbria's Dan Payne.
Dan Payne. I've been at an 18th. Just a bit of reflection. I've been at an 18th today, and we started at 1 o'clock. So yes, I may have had a shandy. All right.
Or 5.
Only in Barrow do you have 18s on a Monday afternoon. Oh my Christ!
Well, yeah.
Some of us have got a good job where we can do our work.
Right, we'll move on because I am absolutely sick of this. So yeah, before I think we lost with calf injury and HIA as well. So that second half, it got a little bit frantic sort of thing. I think we had Wilkinson on a career.
Eminent between Wilco and Cressy, and Wood stayed on. Ryan Johnson, as Becca was there, wasn't right. He hasn't been right for a while, to be fair. And he didn't play, he didn't risk it against Wakefield because he wanted to play today. But he couldn't get through till the end of the first half. But he gave it a good go, you know. A lot of players are just got in that, like Ellis said to Becca, with a mentality where they've got the pre-season coming up. They can do a bit of rehab. You know, they can do whatever they need to do to get fit, ready for next year. And Ryan Johnson is one of many that are on that list that wanted to have a final send-off and then for the end of the season. I think they wanted to play some part of the game in respect to Jared Stack as well, who obviously made his announcement this week. How true it will be, we'll get to that soon. But I think a lot of players wanted to be a part of that for that reason as well. And Ryan Johnson, yeah, he couldn't get through it. Aaron Smith, again, he's just been mad with injuries, the poor lad. He's come in, he's had a couple of knocks here and there. He's had his own injuries himself, but he's a great player. I just can't wait to see him with a full 12. Well, I say it's full 12, but a full season under his belt, a full 20-odd games, you know, and see what we can get from him in there. But I'm sure, hopefully, that'll come next year because he signed them again for next season. So might see a little bit more of Aaron Smith there, even into Jordan's the Dogs.
I'm not giving them any credit on this podcast either.
So can I ask you all a question that I think's quite... Yeah, I don't know how to word it, but well, the question's easy to word. But what do you think is more important? A team, or which team would you think would prevail? A team that's fighting to stay out of relegation zone, or that playoff game, or a team fighting for the playoff positions?
I think a team out of the relegation, like try to stay out of the relegation zone because it's backs against the walls, isn't it? Obviously, it's not worked out for Jordan, who's
disappeared.
It's just, I think he's had enough. He's had enough.
Here he is.
I want to answer the question.
Comes sprinting back.
Sorry, Amazon driver's been at the door.
Oof. We're just on about what sort of, Becca just asked a good question now of what kind of team would perform better? A team that's sort of trying to get in the playoffs or a team that's fighting relegation? I said relegation, but then I just remembered a team that really didn't fight to get out of relegation until afterwards.
What you mean, Dewsbury?
That was yeah. We've got so much to talk about. That's a big highlight. Right. I want to say for
we're going to finish off the question first.
Yeah, so for Becca's question, right? In terms of that game on Sunday at Craven Park, it was kind of similar. Raiders, I wouldn't say relegation, but it could have happened. It could have happened. And he's seen one hell of a game. And I think it was just a little bit more quality that Widnes had in their side that got them through that one, basically. Barrow had the best side they could put out. A lot of the better players were hampered with some pretty bad injuries. You know, Charlie Emsey playing with a ridiculous bicep, and Ellis Gillen playing on that. He needs shoulder surgery and everything, doesn't he? And they were still getting free. Ryan Johnston trying to play with one leg effectively. Brad Walker played in the halfbacks. He's not a natural halfback, but they gave it a go. And I think if them things weren't quite there, if they had people like Ramon Silva, for example, in that team, the result might have swung the other way. So I don't know if that answers the question. I think on team for team, I think on paper, Widnes were better, but Barrow could have won. Do you know? So I think maybe the team at the bottom's put a little bit more into it. I don't know. I just maybe I'm thinking with my head rather than my heart, or the other way around.
I just thought I'd provide some content for rugby fans before we have to listen to Dan for a whole hour podcast.
What about you? I don't know.
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know. As a player, I've never really been in that relegation zone, but I've been in that promotion zone and against Widnes. So, and we beat Widnes, so we did better than the men. But we,
Wow. Where's that clip?
Where's that sound effect? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like unless you're in that position, you can't probably really comment on it. But I always know that promotion was always something massive for us. But as Dan says, you've got to beat the team you're playing. You know, you can't be fighting for promotion against Wakefield. It's not even in the same court. So, yeah, I think it just depends who you're playing. But, yeah, I don't know. I was obviously listening to the game on Sunday and I was thinking, who's going to want that one more, Barrow or Widnes? And then does it come down to the fact that Barrow have been told on the pitch that Swinton are getting absolutely hammered, so it doesn't matter, and they can just let it go? Or do they still keep playing just to get the win over Widnes and keep them out?
I think you want it in your own hands, don't you? I know obviously the chances of them turning Bradford over are very slim, but it's one of them you do want in your own hands, just to say you've got it over the line without any help.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be able to get over in your own merit, don't you?
Second half, by the way, was much different, and it's something I talked to Paul about after the game as well, where we've seen, for those that were there, and for those that haven't, maybe they weren't there, maybe you need to go and watch the highlights of it. That try towards the end, that Shaw try, obviously, Bullman from one side, kicked it over to the other wing for Shaw to get on. That is something that's not part of Paul Carreri's playbook. And I said, that second half, you did things different to what you'd usually do. Was the team aware at half-time of the score over at Bradford? He said, yes, they were. They knew that we were 22-0 down, and they knew they weren't going to come back from that. So that brought it in, maybe a little bit of a slightly different game plan for that second half. It doesn't really affect the outcome of the result, but in terms of entertainment on the pitch, it was fantastic to watch at times.
Yeah, you get some of your best stuff for the off-the-cuff rugby as well, don't you? Well, it's like the Widnes Vikings turned into Minnesota Vikings at times with the forward passes that you touched on. How many times? About 6, 7?
Stop it.
It was shocking, wasn't it?
It was shocking. I mean, I was sat behind a play the ball, right? And even we could see them on commentary. The fans were more than vocal about it. You were in front of the play and you could see it from your side.
2 forward passes in that one bit of passage. That try.
There was so many. A lot of decisions he made. The forward pass, I think he missed absolutely every single one. Even Barrow got away with a couple.
Yeah.
I won't lie. But there were some of the calls he made that afternoon were just shocking. And I know you love a referent, Andy.
Yeah, he wasn't good, was he? He's not, to be fair, normally Rush is normally a decent referee, and Ian Becca's like, don't you bully him, he's my mate. I know him, he's such a nice lad.
Oh, yeah.
So we won't give him too many kickings.
I was saying he's a Super League ref. He knows what he's on about. But
he didn't act like one.
It is the liners that give the forward passes, just saying it's not the referee.
I'll be honest with you, that liner looked very, very shifty. He was like, so I think someone behind us called, I'll be giving everyone the side eye as well. He would just give eye contact to anyone. He was
touch. It's not football. Touch.
It's liner, isn't it? He had to go at me for this. He said, you can tell you want football because you said liner. I always say
Jordan,
liner.
Come on, touch judge or linesman.
Why don't we have a show of hands who's played rugby on more than 3 or 4 occasions over a few years? And
just because you... So this is Dan. Apparently afternoon drinking doesn't agree with me. So we had to edit this bit of the podcast out. I do apologise. Does it mean you can put your rugby thing in it? Or is it 95 metres?
What percentage is Becca? Just out of curiosity.
More cutting out.
I was making a nice comment.
It didn't sound like it.
Yeah, I was trying. You were trying to say just because you played rugby.
Well, that's cancer-free Andy Thompson and also mortgage-free Andy Thompson. So we'll keep it on moving. So yeah, as you mentioned, there I was on the sides, and for me, I was quite nice about this referee, and my man was well happy that I made it on the radio.
I've just had an update from
one of our BBC summarisers, Andy Thompson, who's down there on that far left-hand side, and he's just said this official is having a howler. And he's got a better view than what we have. That's the opinions of BBC summariser Andy Thompson.
And much better than the opinions of BBC.
Love it. He's thrown you right under the bus there. You've been thrown under the bus for the last 3 weeks. BBC Cumbria's Dan Payne, and the second he's been able to get BBC's Andy Thompson in, he's threw you right under the bus, Andy.
I couldn't even defend myself, mate.
Who needs enemies with mates like that?
That's Thompson with a P. Thompson. If you want to go on Facebook, Andy Thompson.
Well, let's go into this then, because obviously you've got such a vast international fan base, as you pointed out on the radio as well, Dan.
Oh, no.
Funny, seems fitting to give a shout out to our listeners all across the world on the BBC this afternoon. We've got Chris Davis listening on the South Coast, Mike Wilson in America, New Orleans, Kev Lancaster Park in Iraq. We've got Gaz Martin in Mexico. Some fantastic people there, all over the place. Haven't we? Lorraine listening in Wigan.
I was going to say, what about Becca Thompson in Preston recording the game?
That's Jamie Dallymore's mum, that was as well. Maybe I should have started with that one, but yeah, that was true. I put the post online and they all get hold of me. I don't even ask for it, but they just all seem to put a comment on. And doing things like this is going to make it worse now. I'm going to get comment after comment now. All right, Dan, I'm in Blackburn. Give us a shout out.
Listening from my mum's bedroom.
Dear me.
Hiya, Dan. I'm listening. I'm next door. I'm in the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh dear.
But yeah, away from your massive international fans, speaking of fans, there was 2,953 in attendance.
That was some crowd, that wasn't it?
Yeah, it's nice to see that full again.
Yeah,
it's been a long time.
To be fair to Widnes, it's probably one of the best travelling supporters in terms of numbers that we've seen all year. They were right up there. I know that a few more probably came down because our lad was playing his under-15s game in the morning. I'm not going to get into a rant about them as a fan on the touchline. That was disgusting, though. Some of them parents. When I say disgusting, it was almost a riot with 30 seconds to go on the under-15s game. I kid you not. There was the mothers came on. There was like a mother off in the middle of the pitch. The coaches were trying to pull the players off. Right? It was crazy. And then they all came up to Craven Park. Warney Sense, to their credit, gave them some free tickets to come to the ground. And they were nice as pie. Couldn't believe it. People could change on that rugby pitch, even the mothers.
There's nothing more savage than a rugby league mum. And I'll stand by that.
Oh, they were brutal. Absolutely brutal.
So just moving on from the men's game to a little update for the ladies' game as well, Becca.
The only reason I'm here, women's rugby. No, I was speaking to you guys before, but something interesting for Cumbrians to keep a lookout for. I was saying Barrow played Lee every season since 2016, and this year was the first season they hadn't played them because Lee didn't get promoted to Super League. But Lee beat London at the weekend, a very, very controversial game. It was broadcast, and there was a few Londoners saying that was a forward pass. I was saying it's forward pass because I wanted a free trip to London on the BBC next year. But
is that as the Super League commentator?
As the Super League commentator. But yeah, Lee won. Lee beat London, and now Lee have to play Featherstone. But I think after winning the last 2 games, Lee have now won 18 out of 18 games this year. So I don't know if they'll beat Featherstone. She won't mind me saying, but Amanda Wilkinson was speaking to me the other week, off record, off the books, and she was saying she thinks Fev will stay up, but I think Lee will do Featherstone quite by a lot. So I think Lee will go up, but obviously that's a bit of news for Cumbrian rugby because Barrow will be playing Lee again next year, so might get to see it at the Lee Sports Village, another stadium I can commentate at. So another one I can brag about.
So what part about Featherstone is it that makes you dislike them so much, Becca?
Oh yeah. If you're listening, I don't hate Featherstone. It's just we went a few weeks ago and it just looks like they hadn't done anything really much to change from last season. They hadn't really signed anyone. They hadn't really changed. I think Barrow kind of dropped their heads a little bit because they were winning and Featherstone found a little way through. But other than that, they just kind of look like the same team they were the season before, whereas Lee are coming in fighting. I mean, obviously, it's hard to say, but I think most people thought Lee were going to beat Barrow in that playoff final because Lee beat Barrow. I think they beat him it was like 50, 70 something nil at home. So when they were playing that final, you were just thinking, what is this going to be? But when they got beat, Lee were just absolutely devastated. And I think this season they've come back fighting like they do not. It's like giving a passion under them, and it's like, right, no, like this is it. This isn't where we belong, and I think that'll take them all the way. But yeah, I think they'll get promoted to the Super League. But it's a local game for Barrow then, because I think Lee's actually the closest game for them. So Barrow will be happy with that one. It'll only be a 2-hour drive. So it's not as far, but yeah, I think it is. I think it's good for Barrow because that's pretty much their like derby game against Lee. Like I say, I played them since 2016. I've played them. There's always fights in that game. It's like terrible, but it's such a good game to watch. And it's just like, it's a good game to commentate on as well. Me and Dan have done a few Barrow League games. So yeah, if Dan's too busy messing around, you can come and do the league game, Andy.
I'm up for that. Come on, like, you've gone around kidnapping Peter Kay, locking him in the basement.
Stealing his puns.
Just because my job's better than yours.
when you're not battering Ben Fogle into forcing him to do UW adverts and stuff like that.
So anyway, there's my little women's update for the week. I'll see you next year.
So we'll look forward to the biff.
Bring back the biff.
Yeah.
Love the biff.
It does come across like you're the talking bird now, don't it? Now you've said that.
Well, I think maybe I just know women's rugby, don't I? It's like a niche thing. If I was on that game show where you've got topics, I'd be like on one of them and they press the button and I'd be like, I know that one. Like I walk into pubs and I'll see women's players and know who they are, but a lot of people, even not men, even women don't know women's players because it's such a small game that's only recently started to develop. But I've obviously always been quite interested in it as a player, and then knowing other people and kind of getting to meet people. I went to the Nines this year, played my first Nines, and that was pretty cool because I met quite a lot of new players. And you've got Jodie Cunningham sort of opposite you, and you're like, what's happening? But yeah, maybe I am the token girl.
Can I give my shout out to Jodie Cunningham with a little story of Graham Dale? He's going to hate me if he listens to this. It's lovely, it's nice, kind of.
This is where it concerns me.
No, so we went to a game a few years ago. It was Barrow Widnes versus Barrow, and Jodie Cunningham was in attendance. We weren't aware of it, but the lass from Premier Sports was there.
Emma.
Emma. And
it was Leeds United as well.
I know. There we go. Leeds United.
Was it the women's Widnes and Barrow game?
No, it was men's. It was just men's, but it was on Premier Sports. Oh. So I think Jodie was there as a guest summariser, and obviously Emma was part of the Premier Sports team. And Graham was like, "Gonna go get a selfie with that Emma," I'm like, "Yeah. I watch her on telly every week. Oh, that Emma. Let's go for it." Graham walks down, right? Gets a selfie, gets an interview, comes back up. Did you sort that out, Graham? Yeah. Got it here. I tell you what, though, she looks a bit different in real life. I was like, does she? Like, yeah. I said, that's because it's Jodie Cunningham you've been talking to. That's a true story.
Do you know how we said early on, accidental partridge?
Honestly,
it's just Graham Dale. It's just Graham Dale all over, isn't it? That's fantastic.
Never fear. That's nothing against Jodie, but yeah, it looked a little bit different on telly than in real life. I'll never forget that line.
Probably because her nose is bent in real life. Because I think Jodie's broken her nose about 10 times. Bless her. But
oh dear me. Anyway, sorry. Back to the schedule.
The presentation night happened straight after as well for Barradas. So I'll go for the awards. So volunteer of the season was the groundsman Simon Clark. Support of the year is Anne Stewart. Social Rugby League volunteer of the year, which is an RFL award as well, not just the Barrow one, is for Lou Scar, who's, we know she does a lot for the local amateur game and everything like that. And what she does down at Barrett is fantastic as well. Director's Recognition Award, Darren Herbert. The James Yorkie Coyle Award for dedication is Luke Cresswell. It basically became the Luke Cresswell of the Night Awards, didn't it, really? I don't want to ruin it for anyone.
Luke Knight, Luke Broadbent, and Luke Cresswell, the Luke Knight.
Supporters Player of the Year also went to Cresswell. Local Rising Star was Luke Broadbent, or Local Shithouse for you, wasn't it, Jordan?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
BBC Player of the Year was Luke Cresswell. Now,
you
fired a dig, right, Ellis, last week, and I stuck up for you.
Mm-hmm.
Not realising how much of a hypocrite you were. So, oh, he's nice as pie when he sat with me, and then he goes and sticks it into me. So this is what you had to say about Luke Cresswell when he made a very rare mistake.
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
And then you had the stone face to go there and the brass neck to go and give him a trophy straight after that. I bet you gave him a right little build up to it as well, didn't you? That's BBC Cumbria's Dan Payne.
You are ruthless with these commentary clips, aren't you, Andy?
I didn't say it, mate.
It took him 10 minutes to become man of the match, Luke Cresswell, in that game against Widnes. You were there. He was unbelievable. This is before his try as well.
I didn't say that. I thought it was great. I think it's a good season.
So that was obviously said in jest. And yes, I have approached him about UW.
Just going on that little clip that you played, I actually have the quote from the night of what Dan said.
Oh, have we?
He plays like he knows every player's playbook, as safe as a Swedish seatbelt. Sorry, just play that again.
So I'm just going to double check. I'm just killing time while I get this.
Safe as a Swedish seatbelt.
So this is what you sort of said on live radio.
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
BBC Dan Payne.
He also said, rarely makes a wrong move.
Rarely makes a wrong move. Should we say what you said on the radio, Dan?
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
And then the not done. The next part, probably the best fullback in the division that's never played in Super
I'm just going to see if that's exactly what he said on the radio.
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
Direct quotes from Dan Payne.
So,
is that a fire exit behind you, Andy?
Yes, it is. Don't trip over that shovel on your way out, my mate.
I'm getting bullied. This is Jordan's E, They got relegated to League One. Let's pick on him.
Oh, we've got time for that.
You 40-faced get.
It's ruthless. It's absolutely
honest to God.
Yeah,
so, try to move on. The progression award went to Luke Broadbent. Top try scorer was shared between Cresswell and Bowman.
It was 10 versus 9 coming into the season, the last game of the season. Then Luke Cresswell and got his 10, so they shared it on the night. Yeah,
it was nice of Luke to let someone else have a go winning a trophy, I guess. Man of Steel, Josh Wood. Yeah, well deserved there. Player Luke Cresswell. Coach's merit, Jared Stack. Do you reckon that's a little Stacky? If I'll give you this, will you stay on?
So can I tell you a story about this a little bit?
Is it safe?
Yeah, of course it is. So yesterday, obviously, a few days ago, Jared Stack announced on his social media post that he was calling it. Cresta refused to accept it. The club has pretty much refused to accept it. Widnes were well aware of the situation and they asked to give him guard of honour at the end of the game. Paul Crary said, absolutely not happening. So he told them, it's not happening. You're not giving him a guard of honour. He was told the announcer that we're not mentioning it. It's not happening. He's not retiring. So Paul Crary's adamant that this guy, that's it. So if that was his final game, then it's a bit shit, really.
Because copy and paste that post.
What's he going to do when Stack doesn't turn up in mid-November for pre-season training? No, I'm still not having it. No, not having it. He's not going on.
Turn up to his house.
He'll be sat in a certain basement alongside Ben Fogel and Peter Kay.
He came up and he had a few words at the start of the presentation, even in to a bit of a nice applause. I got up myself, and obviously I wasn't going to sit and talk about Luke Cresswell all night because it was obvious he was going to clean up the awards after the season he's had. Go on, Andy.
What did you have to say about Luke Cresswell? Was it something along these lines?
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
So, moving on, I did make a little bit of a something toward Stacky before we gave Luke his award. And I got everybody on the feet and we applauded him. And I did say, and I've openly said, that we have got an award from you on behalf of the BBC, but you're not getting it until the end of next season. So we will see you next year when you go up. We'll come up and get you an award. And he just sat there laughing, shaking his head. And Paul said, he's had a torrid time off the field this year. Yeah. And I won't get into that, but he does need a bit of time away in pre-season. It does help. You can go away. He's got things that have got going on in his own life. He can get them sorted out, have a relaxing time, go on holiday, do what he needs to do, spend some time with his family and his kids. And then hopefully come Christmas time, back into training, raring to go.
On them sandals, I'm sure he'll be happy to be back.
They mentioned the sandals as well.
So just moving on, young player of the year is Luke Broadbent. And player of the year is Luke Cresswell. So as we touched on, it's a night of the Lukes there. Light of the Nukes.
Brody, to be fair, has had a cracking season. Cresswell even made a joke about him when he came up years ago, when he was a teenager or when he was a kid, and he came up wearing his Whitehaven shirt. And Paul Carrera, you can't wear that round here. Get that taken off. So
is it a fancy dress shit or something? Oh.
Yeah, Halloween.
Behave yourselves, man. Honest to God.
Do you know what I did like about Luke on the Facebook though? They said, and do you know what? I read it and I thought, oh, do you know what? That's probably one of the most accurate things I've seen. They said something along the lines of he's grown from a player who just played with, the passion, but not the. I can't even remember how they worded it.
Sort of playing with a heart rather than your head, sort of.
Yeah. He played with his heart rather than his head, and now he's got both, and it is really showing. He's playing tactical. He's got the right heart in it, but and obviously he'd had a few scraps and stuff a couple of years prior, but now he's getting into it, getting stuck in, and what a player he's developing into. And I mean, it doesn't help when your dad's Gary Broadbent, but I won't take all that away from him. But what a player he's developed on his own, and he's been around a couple of clubs, come back to Barrow, and he's just absolutely shining. But yeah, I couldn't agree with that comment more. He's really developed this season and turned into a great man as a player for Barrow.
Oh yeah, and then you just see all the way like all the kids are with him as well. Obviously, I know he's involved with the sort of the advantage side of it, but he's well loved, isn't he, as well? You see that maturity side of it as well with how he is with them, and that's just great to see as well.
It's probably helped as well him doing that actual job role, kind of growing up himself, working alongside kids. You can't be a kid when you've got to look after kids, so it's probably helped him in maturing. And I think you could probably say the same about Ellis and T. They both kind of went through that path as well, and you saw that with them too. They developed a lot more as players when they had them like little backing of all these little fans, these 5,000 fans behind them as well. But, it gets the kids involved in the club as well as just getting involved with outside of the club. You see them all at the games. We spoke on the attendance earlier, 2,900. That was it, 2,000?
Yeah, 2,953.
But that's all the community clubs coming in. And I know Whitehaven have touched on this today in their Facebook post that they need to get the communities involved. And credit Steve Neal, that's what he's done. And that's why the club is becoming as successful it is on and off the pitch, just obviously needing to work a bit more on developing that team for next season.
No, it's great. Like we just touched on there as well. It's like you've touched on with Ellis, Dan's mate. Sort of with it as well. They're not just rugby players, they're becoming role models for these kids as well. It's not just like it's like takes it away from like the footballers that them being the superstars, if you know what I mean. It's like your Ellis and your Brody who are going to be that, and hopefully keep going for us.
I think Dan has to get an Ellis Gillam's face tattooed to him now to make it up to him.
I'm not talking about playing anymore. Andy's shaming me on these apparent voice notes. I don't even know if that was me.
It wasn't a voice note, mate. You did this on national radio, just this exact clip.
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback Luke Cresswell.
And if you want the credit as well for who recorded that, it was actually me. So I can confirm that was 100% real.
And not just national radio, as he said earlier on, international.
International.
Worldwide.
Worldwide. Yeah, worldwide.
From New Orleans to Wigan.
The Paris of the North, I've heard it referred to as.
I've heard it called worse. Probably not even fit for a podcast, some of the things. But
well, it's not stopped you so far, is it, man?
Luke Cresswell might be safer than a Swedish seatbelt, but this part of the podcast isn't. Sorry, Dan, but we've edited it out.
So, moving on to the wrong side of Cumbria now, then. There was Haven and Halifax, wasn't there, Jordan? You were there for that one with a 23-20 win.
Yeah, 23-20 victory. And when you're after 16 minutes and Whitehaven was 16-0 down, you think, oh, Christ, here we go. Not another heavy defeat. Points difference had taken a battering in them last few months, hadn't they? So you thought, oh, Christ, where are we going here? And you sort of wondered. And I had former Whitehaven captain Mark Shackley with me on commentary. And he said, I don't understand why and how this Halifax side are where they are, because they've absolutely ripped Whitehaven to shreds. They looked the dominant side, and you didn't understand why they are where they are, if I can get my words out. But that sort of second half of the first half, it showed why Whitehaven just had to put them under a little bit of pressure, and the crack. They were able to score 3 tries and sort of level it up at half time. So caught them out with the same play 3 times, a shift to the right from the play of the ball, and it ended up in 3 different people's hands on each occasion: Will Evans, Rio Corkill, and Adine Gebby. But on each occasion, they caught them out with a shift play, and Liam Finwarner being happy with that. But yeah, fantastic for Whitehaven, obviously able to sort of round the season off on a high. Obviously, it'd been a difficult few weeks and months, hasn't it, at the recreation ground. So, whichever way it was going to be, it was nice to finish off on a high, obviously with the victory, obviously slightly muted, obviously with the injury to James Newton, and obviously having to leave the ground after the match in an ambulance, and obviously we've already spoke about the sort of injuries that he's going to have to recover from over the next coming weeks and months. But yeah, a real high for Whitehaven that they're able to sign off their time in the Championship, of course, on a high, beating a Halifax side.
Yeah, you touched on there as well about, in the early, obviously I've listened to the comms when I got sent it over, and that you were both on about how good sort of Halifax were, and they have been such a weird team, because it's a team full of superstars, isn't it, really? And then you're seeing sort of how they perform this year. It's a bit of a strange one for them. Yeah,
because I mentioned in the commentary as well that we had Gaz Widdop sitting to our right-hand side, and they brought Gaz Widdop out of retirement, paid him a pretty penny from even the rumours are here that you're right, and I don't think he's probably had the impact they were expecting. But then even then, you mentioned players like, James Woodburn Hall scored a hat-trick in defeat yesterday. They've got the likes of James Saltonstall, who's sort of a local lad, done well. But then they've got like Louis Jufrey, Joe Keys in the halves, Adam O'Brien, former Super League hooker, Tangata and Leroy up front, and yeah, it's a team full of Halifax stalwarts, and it just hasn't gone right for them. I think, did they miss out on the playoffs last year when Swinton won there on the final day? And then obviously they've missed out again. So, and obviously they've had their own issues as well publicised, similar to Whitehaven's in the last few weeks. So they'll be hoping they can push on in 2025. Maybe a couple of players from Whitehaven, wink, wink, hint, hint. With that, as it's going to be, probably I think there's definitely at least one I know that's going. But, I'll let Halifax announce that. But it's, they'll want to push on. But yeah, going back to Whitehaven, like I say, they were able to get back into the game. And in the second half, probably should have scored more tries. Young Jack Kellett had a hell of a performance coming off the bench. Bear in mind, he's been playing NCL Division 3. He's not been playing Premier Division. You think, you could make that step up. Been playing Division 3 NCL rugby all season. Got promoted with Hensingam. Gets a phone call from Kyle Amor on like Monday or Tuesday of last week. Says, we're really struggling this week, mate. We've got, we're going to be able to bring some players in, and I want you to come down and essentially fill a shirt. And he comes on, should have scored a try. I still don't see why it's being ruled out. Try assist for Jake Carter, and I named him a man of the match in League Express. Just fantastic story, and it's the good news vibe that the Whitehaven need to go into next season.
I think sort of like something we've sort of might have jokingly fired digs about in the past is obviously you've got a lot of foreign imports over from Australia and stuff like that, and we've said, well, where's the local talent involved in all this? And you're seeing that come through now, and like I said, I've listened to the comms that you sent over to us, and from what I heard, he must have nearly had about 3 or 4 near tries, and obviously, like you said, they set up for Carter, and he should have had a try himself, and it seems he brought a bit of a fan base over with him as well, didn't he, to the game, and doubled your usual crowds.
Oh, see, even when you say nice things, you still can't be nice, can you? But no, it was great to see plenty from the Hensingam club, and to be fair, we've seen a lot from Hensingam come down this season on that popular side. But obviously, it was swelled a bit yesterday. Obviously, with that unexpected appearance from Jack, and I've seen Jack play for Hensingam for the last couple of seasons, and he's always sort of been the leader in that team. But as I mentioned, it's a huge step up from any NCL side, especially the ones you'd maybe expect to make the step up from, the likes of your Wafbrow and your Kells and your Degerwins, who have been in and around the top divisions. And for someone to step up from Division 3 NCL to make that much of an impact in the Championship, it shows that probably what Whitehaven's been crying out for, at least the supporter base has been crying out for, that they need more Cumbrians, West Cumbrians especially, in that team. I think I had a look yesterday, there was only 2 out of the starting 13 were Cumbrian. Obviously, the issues have been with that with Whitehaven in terms of numbers, and they've needed loan players, etc., obviously, to help them get through the season. But 2 out of 13 Cumbrian, and 1 off the bench. I don't think that sits right with some fans, and rightly so, obviously. if you're a Halifax or a Batley or a Widnes, they probably don't care as much as where their players come from, because obviously it's all within sort of that M62 corridor. But for us Cumbrian sides, whether it be us, Workington, obviously Barrow, obviously who's got the Furness Academy and able to dip in and out of there, and then they've got the likes of Connor Terrell, who's been playing at Millham and has stepped up when he's needed. It's been, it always seems to mean more when you've got your hometown players coming through. You've spoke about Luke Broadbent, the preliminaries awards at the presentation night. If Whitehaven can have more players stepping up, which they're going to have to do over the next couple of seasons, hopefully it'll bring more people through the terraces.
Yeah, so we look forward to seeing Jack in a Barrow shirt anyway next season. No, in all seriousness, it's good to sort of see that. And can we expect him to see him in a Whitehaven shirt next year?
I'd hope so, but I think that's a decision for Jack. He's got a taste for it now, hasn't he? And I don't know whether that was ever on Jack's mind to begin with, whether he wanted to make that step up. But it's hopefully it's planted something in his mind. And don't get me wrong, like Jack Kellett isn't going to come up and start playing like Nathan Cleary. Do you know what I mean? Like when he comes up next season, and if he makes that decision, it'll be tough. There'll be games that he'll make mistakes in. And yesterday was just a dream. And it's not always going to be like that. You're not always going to be on the yellow brick road to paradise. There's going to have some ups and downs on that road if he makes that step up. But it'll be fantastic to see him and hopefully a number of other community players, whether it be from your Wathbrows, your Kells, your Eggerments, your Seatons, your Dissingtons, your Hensinghams, wherever it may be. There's players around West Cumbria that could make the step up, especially, I believe, to League One rugby. And that's Whitehaven are going to have to convince them that the rebuild and the project there at Whitehaven is going to be over the next few seasons is right for them.
So as you touched on before, Jordan, as well, them tries came down the same side. A couple of names you mentioned from the scorers were Dan Payne wasn't too nice about the other week, was he? What were he? Furness Academy failures? Well, this is one of your failures who called you out last week, and this is how he had to respond without even giving you any words, mate.
Ackroyd at dummy half comes right into the hands of King, now Hannigan. Hannigan knows, and it's going to be Rio Cornwall, back-to-back tries for Whitehaven, and they've reduced the deficit once more, just ticked over into the 31st minute. It's Halifax 16, Whitehaven 10, and it is Corkill's 6th try of the season.
That's 6th try at Rio Corkill.
He just needed that bit of motivation from Dan Payne on the Odd Shape Balls podcast to get him over that line against Halifax. Well played, Rio. Well played. Motivational speech from Dan Payne last week. That's what it was.
Yeah, all right. What was that? What was his direct quote, Andy? Was it Furness Raider failure?
Failure. And well, here's another one of the failures that Dan...
Was this the same Rio Corkill who come from the academy system at St Helens?
Yes, it was, yes.
Just checking. Yeah, all right, no problem. Thank you.
But as you know, Jordan, BBC's Dan Payne.
BBC's Cumbria's Dan Payne.
Cumbria's Dan Payne.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, yeah, this is how another one of the failures got Daniel.
Jack Kellerton, he's 1-on-1. Whitehaven, he couldn't get the 4 points in himself, could Jack Kellett, but he just opens it up for Jay Carter. It is a try for Whitehaven. They have taken the lead, and Whitehaven lead.
Yeah, so egg on your face there, Dan. Anything you want to sort of say to these two try-scoring players who...
How bad was that Halifax defence then? Or I'm just taking that. Hey, I'm kidding. Behave yourself. Listen, you're taking my failures comment out of context, aren't you? They've clearly done all right for themselves, haven't they?
So what
in the bottom of the championship?
As much as I do want to stick the boot in on Whitehaven because I find it funny, I do. But what other context is there, Jordan, for Dan calling someone failures? Is there can't be one, is there?
No, there isn't. If you say to you left Barrow and you were a failure because you left Barrow, bear in mind, you know what I mean? There's just I'm stuttering because there isn't a context. I'm struggling to find a context. You called them failures. They both called you out.
You two are loving this.
Yep.
Yeah, they called me out. They listened to the other week, and then they've come back at me and scored a try apiece against Halifax. Well done. You should be praising Dan Payne for this.
And if you do end up back at Barry, he'll probably give you an award at presentation night as well, and that's all sweet as pie to your face.
Oh, mate, if they end up back at Barry, I won't end up on this podcast anymore. I won't be here.
Is that because they're going to fill you in?
Yes. Exactly that.
But bear in mind, even he calls his own players failures, or no, not necessarily not failure. Useless, I believe the phrase was, Andy.
Oh, do you know what, Jordan? I am just going to double check what you had to say.
Just double check.
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
Useless.
Worldwide radio calling out Luke Cresswell.
That international fan base in Wigan.
In Wigan. Evening, Lorraine.
So
I'm not making any more comments, and Dan Payne is unavailable this evening.
So moving on to the amateur round, though. It was a great day, sort of, for the Cumbrians in the Northwest Men's League Division 2 winners and the playoff winners as well. Hinepool beat a very, very. I don't know how to put them. They were crap. They were dicks, absolute dicks. To be fair, West Bank 34-10. Finn Goodings as well getting player of the match for that one. They tried to start a fight with players going back to the changing rooms after the game, and that was just weird. Anyway, and then Northwest Men's Division 1 winners and playoff winners. Dalton beat West Dalton 28-16.
How good, by the way, was Joe Crary?
I was about to mention him. He got player of the match there.
Wow.
He just controlled that game. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's son of Paul Crary, Raiders head coach, of course, and I'm not just saying it because of that. That guy was a real player, and he stood out, and all credit to him doing it on TV as well. Hopefully, you never know who's watching that game. There could be scouts from anywhere, but if there was, they've got to be talking about Joe Crary after that.
Well, that first half as well, he just puts that little cheeky ding in, done it, and obviously they go and score from the kick as well. He goes straight from back to half for that as well.
We all talk about NCL, right? And rightly so. That is the ultimate of the amateur divisions. But Andy, you've seen it over the last few years in this Northwest Men's League. There is some good teams, some really good players out there, ex-like academy players in that as well.
Yeah, they're coming up. Like I just keep saying to you, when we were doing the comms early in the season for the Hinepool Cup match, the lad who was doing the kicking from the touches, he was on Wigan's books the season before, and I keep saying it's not the hub league it used to be, and the way it's probably still missed sort of viewed really. Mm-hmm. But anyway, we'll move on to the Carla Premier. Apologies, Dan didn't say anything offensive this time, but unfortunately our internet service cut short and messed with our audio files. So if anyone does know a gas and lecky provider who also does internet, give us a shout out. But over to the Carla Prem Division playoffs, Maryport beat Cockermouth 40 points to 28, and Wafbra beat Kells 46 points to 6. Cheers. And Carla Division 1, in the playoff final it was Tington. Dizzington versus the old Spatry, and that finished off 24 points to 6 to Dizzington.
Spatry.
A Spatria. If we're going to give any properly, it is a Spatria. But those West Cumbrians just Spatria.
Yeah, but how's it spelled? Right. How's it spelled?
S-P-E. Hold on. You're going to.
So where did you get ACE from? ACE is ACE.
What?
ACE is ACE. Right. This starts with an AS. So it's AS and ACE. So it's Aspatria.
Stop giving me.
Maybe Jordan. Maybe you West Coasters are getting this wrong. Maybe it is Aspatria.
Evening. You all right? Is that the missus?
Yeah, it is.
Send him my best.
Andy passes his best on. He says, "Are you? She's not happy."
She sounds like she's come from Aspatria. That's what he said.
Aspatria.
She is nuddy. Silent ears. Right, honestly.
I'm not even going to sort the place anymore as well, because I just feel like a punching down. But to be fair, they're not going to get it. I'll hear it, Eddie, because not Lecky or anything.
I hope Hinepool play him in some sort of friendly, or that'd be epic.
I won't be there. I will be hiding like the coward I am.
Jordan will turn up with some sign saying, "This is Andy Thompson, silent ear."
And Andy Thompson. Yeah. Thompson. Yeah. We can get back underway now. She's disappeared.
Right, so
that's not getting cut. Put that in. That was epic.
I stay in. I can't concentrate with you. Right. Anyway, moving on to the news side of it. Obviously, we're touching on it. Stack's potential retirement. Sounds like it won't be allowed. No, it's taken away from him.
No. If it does happen, I think then there needs to be. on behalf of the club, like an event of sorts. You know what I mean? Like it's just one of them things. When you know something big like this is coming for a player of the enormity of Jared Stack, then he deserves a proper send off, not a couple of people on the feet at a presentation night after a game. I don't think that's fair. He deserves his guard of honour. He deserves his trophies. He deserves his big interviews, week on week. He deserves legends turning up to watch him on his final game and things like that. A proper send-off is what he needs.
Like maybe a pre-season friendly against some of the more unfortunate clubs in the county, like Working and White, and against Barra. No,
if it's going to happen, it'll be against Working and White, because obviously he started at Working when he made his way over. So
it needs something like that, doesn't it?
And a bigger fan base.
Well, it'll always be at Craven Park anyways, because yours refuse to travel for pre-season friendlies. So,
well, it's only fair that the smaller clubs come to the bigger club, isn't it? That's the way it works.
Oh, honest to God, it was insufferable.
So moving on from that, obviously we've seen earlier in the week as well. Earlier last week, sorry, the Wales call-ups for Max Clark, Hugh Worthington, who's obviously peaked when he got shithouse the other week from me, and Will Evans. So yeah, great call-ups for them lads as well.
Well done, fellas. Yeah, great to have Cumbrian-based lads involved in the international scene. Obviously, Callum Phillips and Brett Phillips were sort of obviously the ones more recently. Obviously, I think Whitehaven had a couple previously. I think Spencer Miller played for Scotland. We're talking 20 plus years ago now, nearly around for that. But yeah, then obviously more recently Callum and Brett. But yeah, there's more and more, isn't there, getting called up for internationals from our side, and that, I think, it just shows you the growing nature of the Cumbrian game. Obviously, that furnace rate of failure in Rio Corkhill.
Behave.
The words of BBC Cumbria's Dan Payne there was obviously, he's represented his heritage with Nigeria. There's Guy Graham, who's obviously had spent time at Whitehaven, so Scottish international. Lachlan Walmsley played for Scotland while at Whitehaven before moving on to Wakefield. The Raiders have had loads, obviously, as well, and Whitehaven. Now, all three of our Cumbrian clubs have, and it's good to see that, like I say, the international game is spreading, even if those right at the top can't be asked playing, i.e. Australia.
So obviously, further down the course as well, we're seeing a few movements on the coaches as well. We're seeing Kyle Amor leaving yourselves, and a potential replacement coming in at some point. Who would be Murray would be on? Money. Who would John Money be on? Is it possibly coming? No comment?
No comment. No comment.
So on the other side as well, we've got John T. He's sort of gone to town now as well, and obviously you've caught up with him just after his announcement was made.
Yeah, I caught up with him, obviously, with that in terms of John T. And it was sort of the worst kept secret in rugby league, or especially Cumbrian rugby league, wasn't it? That John T was going to make that move to Workington. And he says to us in the interview, which we'll hear in just a moment, that he'd been speaking to town for a number of months. So you can understand why it was the worst kept secret, because obviously the discussions had been happening for months and months. But it was great to catch up with John T once more. I called up with him via Zoom, and when he come on, I said, "It's been a while, mate." Yeah, I was used to speaking to him every other day, if not most days, with John T. So it was good to catch up, and no doubt we'll catch up even more throughout his time at Workington. But yeah, it was great to catch up, and this is what the new Workington head coach had to say. John T. Gawley, the Workington Town head coach for the next 2 seasons. Thank you very much for joining us on Odd Shaped Balls. John T., it's been a roller coaster over the last few months, I imagine, based on your interview with Workington. The conversations were happening for a couple of months, obviously with everything else that was going on at Whitehaven as well. Last time me and you spoke, it was when you dropped that bombshell on us on BBC Radio Cumbria Live about obviously you finding your position untenable at Whitehaven and obviously leaving immediately. What has gone on since then, but you've now been announced as the head coach of Workington Town for the next 2 seasons. Going from a fan to a player to an assistant coach to now joining back as a head coach. It's sort of that full circle is complete. All the boxes are ticked.
Yeah, they are, mate. They are. Did I ever think I'd be head coach of Workington Town? Probably not. Because back in October, that was me, as in last October, when I got my staff together at Whitehaven, that the conversation was, look, lads, let's give this a good push. And I thought the squad we got together was going to do that. Obviously, I told them in October that it was my last season, and that's why I wanted to do the best I could for Whitehaven. But obviously, that's history now. And yeah, Workington come in, and it's somewhat like, I thought about it. I was asked couple of players when I left White working after Dave Clark left. I wasn't ready then, Jordan. You know what I mean? I wasn't ready to be an head coach then. I was an assistant for Phil Fevers and then Clarkey. And when Clarkey left, a couple of the players come on, put you out in the ring, and I just did not feel comfortable. I'd only been there that was my 4th season in the pro game, and I thought, nah. Even though it was League One back then as well, mine, but I just did not feel ready yet. So the 6 year at Whitehaven is proper stood us in good stead, especially the last 3 being head coach in Championship. It's a hard league, mate, and it's moulded me into what I am as a coach. The ups and downs it makes you, the downs especially make you. You've got to get over them. You've got to get back up again, haven't you? And I don't mean off the field. I mean on the field, the downs when you're getting beat. As a coach, that's sometimes you've got to do things at training, but to put stuff right. And yeah, it's a thing that I never thought I was going to do, John, but I am. And yeah, the experience. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope I can fetch some experience in regarding myself, my experiences, I should say, as a coach, and help out work it and get back to where they belong, which I believe is the Championship.
So is that what excites you, getting this club back to where you feel where it should be? I was lucky enough to be at the sort of announcement where Town made the pledge a few months ago now, where they expect to be or hope to be a sustainable Championship club by 2027. You're going to have a big part to play in that, being there for at least the next 2 seasons. You've confirmed you've signed a 2-year deal. Is that what excites you? Because obviously it is your hometown club and you want to get them where you feel they should be.
100%, mate. 100% I do. I do feel as though there should be Championship. But here, everybody in League One thinks that, especially the top half of League One, thinks it should be in Championship and challenging. Every coach will be saying the same thing. But I'm a bit nostalgic at times, Jordan. I look back when I played there and when I watched before I signed, and there were great times at working. Some real good coaches coming through. We're going back to Banter and Moyles Bamford and Ray Ashton, watching them, and then obviously signing under Peter Walsh, and then 3 or 4 years there at working. And then I'm not saying I'm going to fetch that back, by the way, but if we got some part of that back, the buzz in the town, the buzz round the club, some good results, take some scalps. I just want them good times back, because I know the support there. Everybody likes a winning team. Don't get us wrong, but I think the support there at work. I'm not saying it'll be like that what it was, 3,000 and 4,000 watching every week, but if you're getting 4 figures at the game, I think that's a win. You know what I mean? We've seen what crowds are like in rugby league. I think especially in the lower leagues, they're diminishing a bit. But if we can get that buzz around the place and fetch some good players in, and like you say, have a good season this year and challenge for them top spots, mate. Wooking's, the fan base, the town itself, get behind the club, mate. That's what I'm wanting to do. I want it to be a good place to be, a positive place, and hopefully put my stamp on the coach and fetch some lads in and do a great job, hopefully.
How easy or how hard was it when that phone call came in, especially with all the problems that you've had at Whitehaven? You know, it's your hometown club, but then you're weighing it up as in, do I want to do this again? I've had all these challenges at Whitehaven over the last few seasons. Do I not just want to sit back? I know you're a granddad now. Do you not just want to sit back, maybe have a beer on a weekend? How easy or hard a decision was it to make when that call came in from Workington?
Some respects it was dead easy. With respects it was rock hard. You know what I mean? I was like, playing wise, results wise at Whitehaven, I'd be like not sleeping on a Monday night still. When I'm just waking up at like 2 and 3 in the morning. My good mate at work, Troy Armstrong, calls it a rugby league roller coaster, and I was on that rugby league roller coaster like every coach is, and it's some defeats where you think you should have won. I'm up to like, you know what I mean, Monday nights, Tuesday nights, waking up thinking about what happened at the weekend, and I'm thinking, do I really need that in my life? But then you think about it and you get up and you reassess stuff, and that's what a coach does. You never stop thinking about the game. And for me to stop coaching rugby right now, especially with how it's gone, I didn't want it to finish like that. You know what I mean? And this is a massive challenge for me with the pledge and for 2027. But I'm looking forward to it, Jordan. I like coaching rugby league. I like being around clubs. I like the camaraderie in the team sport. So yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing, mate. So yeah, to answer your question, at first it was difficult because of what was going on in the background. But when I've sat back and looked at it, mate, it's the right decision. especially when I've got the back from the missus and the kids. Yeah, I'm all over this. You know what I mean? I want to fetch them good times back. Whether I do or not, that's a different kettle of fish. But yeah, I've got the mindset to hopefully get there.
And I mentioned the challenges there, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much. We may catch up in the future. You know, we're looking to do on Odd Shape Balls, we're looking to do a deep dive of each club season. So if you're lucky enough or fortunate enough to have your time again, we may look into that a bit deeper. But this is about obviously Workington Town, but them challenges you had at Whitehaven. Obviously, you know, we had, I hope, a very good relationship within your time at Whitehaven. You always give myself the time of day, and I know only probably a small amount of the challenges that were there that were going on until obviously it was all announced. And is that why the decision's taken so long to come out? Because let's be completely honest, this rumour had been doing the rounds for months, and you've said you've said to what you've been speaking to Workington for a good few months. Is that why it's taken so long for the decision to come out, because of the struggles you'd had at Whitehaven?
Yeah, I found myself at the end. I was relying on Kirky so much to coach because my head was all over the spot regarding what was going on at the club. I'd sort this out, sort that out, worry about this, worry about that. And like, Kirky, hey mate, do us a favour, sort us that session out tonight, pal. And I need somebody else's view on it. I need somebody else to look at it. I've got to, you know what I mean? And it was so refreshing to sit down with Working and know that initially, you know, you don't know what's in the future, but I will just be going there to coach. And that was a massive draw to me, you know what I mean? As daft as it sounds, a coaching, but yeah. And I love my time at Whitehaven, mate. I really did. And the fans, the people at the club, absolutely brilliant. It's a rugby league. That's what happens in rugby league. Every club's the same, mate. Every club's got them people who support you. They're thick and thin, and Workington's the same. I've been there, you know what I mean? So I know what I'm going into. My eyes are wide open. And it's going to be a good challenge, mate. It really is. I'm looking forward to it. The club's in a good place off the field, like I keep saying, and it's up to me, my staff, the players, to put a stamp on this League One. And I'm not naive enough. When we won the league in 2019, League One was tough. We had a local team there that done really well and we won the league. It was brilliant. Yeah, every year since then, mate, it's just improving. I'm not naive enough to think, I'm going to go and I'll get promoted first year. I'm going to win the league. You know what I mean? It isn't a Toronto coming. You know what I mean? Or even the money that Oldham's put in. That's just that isn't what's going to happen. We're going to have to work for everything and work really hard. And League One is a tough comp. I'm not going in there thinking, I'm going to breeze it, because we know there's going to be times when we're up against it, and there's going to be results that won't go our way. But it's how we bounce back, and it's how we go. And obviously, I'll be judged back in the next year with how the first season's going. But I know for a fact that we've got to improve on the field, because 5th last year, 6th this year. Let's up the standards and get up that table a bit there.
And finally, to the fans, supporters, stakeholders, whoever's got an interest in Workington Town, what's your message to them? Because obviously, as we've said, it was a disappointing season on the field last season, but there's so much to be excited about if you are a Workington Town fan. Obviously, they've recently fetched in, obviously, the women's side, which had done so well last year. There's the women's football side. There's the netball team. They really seem to be branching out Workington. It seems to be an exciting time if you are a Workington Town fan. It's just up to yourself now as the men's side to boost that on the field performance. What's your message to the Workington Town fan base?
Yeah, I mean, look at the club, all them teams you've said there, but the pinnacle, the reason why we're there, is for the men's rugby team, isn't it? That should be the top interest at that club. That's why it's there, the rugby league club. And yeah, I just want everybody to get behind us, and I know they will. I know the fans will. The buzz is good there anyhow with them teams, and it's great that we've got them teams there. But hold on, I want Workington Town Rugby League to be on the map, because the men's team are doing great. They've got some good lads in, maybe some head turning signings, I don't know. And we need to be at the challenging at the top of that League One, mate. Because if we don't, it's going to be a failure there. I'm absolutely excited, and it was good to sit down with them. They didn't have to sell us it anyhow, Jordan. This was maybe, like we said previously, someone I didn't think I'll get the chance at. When I thought about it before I sat down with the board, I was excited to go ahead with it. But once I sat down with them a couple of times, mate, they've got their side sorted. They have, and that's what's making me excited, where they go and the sponsorships, the community stuff they're doing, because it's grown. I need to grow this team on the pitch, and I want the fans and the sponsors and everybody involved in working in town to get behind us, because, yeah, I really hope we fetch the good times back and have a good go at getting to the top of that league, mate. And if we do that on the field, I know the fans will come back, and I know they'll support us, whatever. So, yeah, we're going to get behind us and get on the journey with us. It's just, there's a story to be told, I think. Hopefully, we'll look back in 2 years and I'm thinking, yeah, we've done a good job there. That's what I want to say, Jordan. Back end of 2 years, mate. Yeah, I've done the best we can. We're back in Championship. Whether that happens or not, who's to know? But that's my view on it, mate.
On to our favourite segment. Well, my favourite segment anyway. I like doing it.
Yeah, I love it.
I think I forgot mine. Couldn't me last.
Okay.
All right.
Well, Becca gave, like, obviously, anyone who's quite got the sharp ear there will also notice that Becca's gone again for the second half of the podcast. She's got a bit going in the second half of things, you know. It was the game last week on the radio on it where she decided to set the emergency comms off across the BBC. It snuck off last week as well, you know, and then again this week. But yeah, she's also turned 25, is it, on Friday?
Yeah, we told her we'll give her a birthday shout out.
Make sure I get a birthday shout out.
25's a big one. No, it's not.
I give you all your downloads.
I do Super League.
Very brave and mature now. She's not here.
Yeah, now she's not here. Well done, guys. Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Before Becca did leave, she also did give us a shithouse nomination for Dewsbury for remembering the words to the winning song that he sort of decided to put up on Facebook after getting battered all season.
Yeah, so Dewsbury, a bit of context. Yeah, Dewsbury went on Facebook and we haven't forgot the words when they came to their winning song for that unbelievable victory over Sheffield. Oh, to be an Eagles fan this weekend, eh?
Yeah. It's gone downhill ever since, obviously, Mark Aston's suspension. They've lost the plot, haven't they? I think, have they only won one game, I think? I mean, they absolutely dominated us. I mean, more sides have this season, but they absolutely dominated us. And then it come out like 24 hours later that Mark Aston had been suspended, and nothing's really come out of that. So, but yeah, that seems to have really, the shit hit the fan following that. And they were second, I think, at the time, and then they've now fell out the playoffs. And, you know, they're not going to be playing playoff rugby. So yeah, it's been a real drop off. And to finish what's been a horrible end to the season, you go to Dewsbury, you have only won one game all season, which was the second game of the season. So then quick maths tells me you then lose 23 straight consecutive games, and then you get beat by them. Yeah, it's not the way the Eagles would have wanted it to end, but yeah, fantastic shithouse nomination, Becca, because like you say, to think, we haven't forgotten the words. Oh well, it's not. Yeah, so like, what are you doing? Like wanting some engagement, wanting some likes? You know what I mean? No. Get on with it. Post the video. Crack on.
We did ask if she wanted any Euros. She goes, no, don't want any. I'll just shithouses for me.
Apparently, nobody was impressive enough this week across the rugby world to impress Becca Thompson.
So yeah. That don't impress me much. We'll move on because that was absolutely abysmal, and I'll probably edit that out. So, Jordan, what are you, mate? Heroes of shithouses.
Heroes, there's only one for me, James Newton. You know, obviously we've mentioned it before. He's still being his usual cheeky self on social media in the last sort of 24 hours, trying to keep spirits up. I think he posted an update this morning, as we're recording, so Monday morning. And he said, roll on pre-season. I'm like, right, okay. And I know he's probably just trying to keep it's himself. He'll be trying to keep his spirits up. And, you know, yeah, we hope he's there for pre-season. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, he might be, you never know. But it seemed, you know, as we said earlier, it also wouldn't surprise me if we don't see him again. So I hope I'm, you know, saying this prematurely, but for his career, and obviously if it is the way to end, it's not the way you want to end. But my hero is James Newton. And I think this might be the second week in a row, because I think I called him out last week as well. My shithouse is Dan Payne. Because
you can't just keep picking on me.
No, I can, because you do it to me for 95% of the episodes. I get the last 5%. So no, I'm for calling. You know what I'm going to be. It's going to be for calling Luke Cresswell useless, and then having the cheek, the barefaced cheek, to stand there and then give him an award. Andy, can you just drop it in for me?
Do you mean when he did this?
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
So that, to go on to 2.5, 3 hours later, to then go on, oh, here, Luke, here's my BBC award, Luke. Oh, no, go friends, Luke. Shit house.
Not only that, there was a shit-eating grin on all over Barrada's Facebook page as well. You're there with your arm round him with a trophy, giving him all this, oh, you're brilliant this week, Luke. Oh, you're fantastic all season. I never did say anything bad about you.
Oh, safe as a Swedish seatbelt, Luke. Oh.
That's Graham's line. Not that.
You know what? I'll do this for him.
High ball, put up for Cresswell. I'll let you take it, Graham. Come on.
Safer than a Swedish seatbelt.
There it is. He loves it, doesn't he? He bloody loves it.
You didn't share the same opinion, or did you, Dan?
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
You shit house.
Fair.
So,
Me?
you? Do you want to go?
Shall I do me? Pardon?
Yeah, he wasn't shit house's place.
Steady.
Accidental partridge.
He's had a beer.
So I'm gonna since 1 o'clock. I'm gonna start with my shit house first. My shit house of the week, just because we've seen a few, and I thought, do you know what? Let's go out with a bang. Let's pick on him once again. Liam Rush, I'm calling you out. Awful refereeing. We need referees to play the game. Yes, Andy, I know you're going to say that, but no. It was, I think there was a lot of things he missed. We've talked about that earlier on, Andy, but I think he changed the momentum of the game slightly as well. And I think that game could have been a bit different for both teams if some of the decisions he made were, I'm not saying they were wrong. I haven't seen the video footage yet, but from our eye in that moment, he got a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, he did that for both sides, to be fair to him. I don't like sticking up for referees. I don't.
I know.
You forced me into it.
Just before we go into Dan's hero, considering we're talking about referees, and this is going to be positive, can we just say a massive shout to Ben Failer and Mike Smale, who's retired, hung up the whistle this week. Ben Failer's took up, over 700 professional games. That's amazing. And there's a clip started doing the rounds again on Twitter this week once he announced his. You know exactly what I'm going to say, Andy.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a clip going around when it was a rugby league raw clip that shows you how old it is. I think it was 2004 ish. I think it was. Hull KR were playing Rochdale in the playoffs, and he sends the blog off, doesn't he? And you know he was going to be a penalty, and then he keeps on gobbing off, and then he goes, "There's your card," and he keeps on, "Get yourself gone, son." And it's just fantastic, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But Ben's always like, I've had the opportunity to speak to Ben a couple of times, a couple of years ago down in Toulouse after several drinks, which was a really interesting conversation. But we were just able to take the piss with him, take the Michael with him, and saying this, what about that decision? What about that decision? Lads, you lost by 60 points. It wouldn't have fucking mattered. So, do you know what I mean? It's just such things like that. He's well known. He's Ben for his sense of humour, and Mike Smale as well, the New Zealander, who's had a lot to do as well with sort of the referees in sort of league, Championship and League One, and sort of bringing them on. And so, I just wanted to give a shout out to them before we got Dan's heroes, because it's as much as we all like to take the piss out of them, there is no game without them. So.
Just touching on Ben again as well, he gets the cushy numbers, because I'm sure there's another story about him having a piss up with Becca in a pub in Toulouse as well. And she said the exact same thing, how much of a great lad he is, like, you know what I mean, like he's sort of his humour with the rugby league side of it as well. It's great to see. And obviously you don't really sort of see the referees' personalities right on the pitch, really, do you? Not nowadays anyway, with the older breeds you did. You don't really see it now, and sometimes I think like what gets people's backs up, there seems to be a sense of arrogance with it. There probably isn't, like, it doesn't mean to be, but because you're not seeing that personality side now, you're just seeing someone pulling a face, pulling a card out, or whatever else, and you're thinking, you're ruining the game here for me. But yeah, and you touched on the other lad there as well. I saw Mucker, who he's a local ref here in Barra, and he was also sort of congratulated him on his retirement and saying what a mentor he was for that as well. So he's had an impact on the amateur games, not just the pro games.
Talking referees, if I don't do it, he's going to kill me. Most improved referee in the Barrow District Society, Matty Bolton. He made sure he got in touch this week and said he wanted a shout out on the podcast because he knows Mucker would hate that.
Get it cooked.
And what does he do as well now? Is he one of your many minions?
He works with UW. He's seen sense. Yeah, he's had a couple of promotions. He's doing all right for himself. Is Matty Bolton.
So sorry, Matty, your bit's getting cut.
So over to my heroes.
Over to your heroes.
Plural. I've got two this week.
Go on.
I'm going to split it purely because they have took a lot of heat from the media, and then they've came up trumps this week. That's Jake Carter and Rio Corkill. Absolute legends in the game. Absolutely They put in a fantastic performance as they went and dominated that Halifax defence, coming away with that 23 to 20 victory. All thanks to Jake Carter and Rio Corkill. Unbelievable players. And they're my joint heroes of the week this week.
You shithouse. That proves why I get to call him a shithouse for 2 weeks running. You shithouse.
Finish with a bang.
Oh, honest to God.
It's weird what alcohol does to people, isn't it?
Oh, dear. We're dying to say that. I knew you two were going to come at me for that. I seen them two scored against Halifax, and I knew it was coming, so I had it prepared.
Did you see this one coming, though?
He's useless.
I imagine you'll get hero next week, Luke, because damn the shithouse Payne there. He's giving him retrospectively.
Double heroes. Luke and Rio. Well done, guys.
So,
Luke. Got Luke in my head again. Jake. Sorry, go on.
Sure?
Yeah, I'm good.
So I'm also going for two heroes this week. It's something we touched on last week. Was at the presentation evening, Charlie and Brett got their mullets cut off.
Yeah.
To raise awareness and raise a bit of money for the Little Princesses Trust and St Mary's Hospice as well. I think at the time of recording, I think they just had just over $2,500 of the £3,000 target. So
well done, fellas.
Yeah. I know Northern Competitions guy. What do we call him? We all should know his name by now.
The Raffle King.
There. I know he put a good chunk in.
I think that's not on his birth certificate. He's Ryan goes by as well.
Ryan, yeah. I think he put 500 quid or so forward as well towards that contribution. And it's only fair to give him a shout out because I think he sponsors all the Cumbrian clubs now.
Smell that money!
He's got his things in a lot of pies. Don't overplug it. He hasn't paid us yet.
No.
Cutting that.
No. He sponsors two of them.
Just two of them?
Just two of them, yeah.
Right, okay.
Do you not get sponsorship money?
No. Fingers and pies are white oven.
Sorry. So he sponsors the two biggest in Cumbria.
The best teams in Cumbria.
Yeah. And
why did I?
No wonder I'm shithouse.
To
be fair, he did probably have that money put aside for Whitehaven, but set it on fire because he thought it'd be a better use.
Probably. Let's be honest, mate. Fucking probably. Shithouse, Andy.
Yeah, shithouse is. I'm sort of thingy with this because it is purely just because I'm a very bitter and petty person.
Don't say me.
No, it's not you.
Oh, good.
It goes without saying that you're a shithouse. So I did want to pick Matty Fozzard and he was in my head most of that game for just being a whingy little bitch the whole way through it. And then this guy topped it, right? So we're on about witness, they got a bit vocal about before the game about who they're going to win. Mm-hmm. But they can't have been that confident because some guy ran to the fucking bus at the end of the game to grab a playoff 2024 sign, ran back on the pitch after the end of the game and he started dancing around with it. They can't have been that confident, can they? Or is it brought it out with him in the first place?
That's true.
So yeah, my shithouse is that random bloke with a big fucking sign.
Fair play.
Yeah, just petty as that. Probably a nice bloke.
If you are listening, Mr. Petty Guy with the banner, get in touch.
It wasn't even a banner, it was just like a bit of card.
It was a bit of card, wasn't it?
Yeah, no money went into that.
Pure effort.
Like kids' arts and craft. GT sign. Hope you enjoy your playoffs. Sad little life you live with.
It's a little witness. One time they're big club. They're almost like the Leeds United of rugby league, aren't they? We're a big club.
He's going to
I'll be honest, guy with a sign, you're out. You're fine now, man. Dan Payne.
The good, the bad, and the Dan Payne. Somebody put that, didn't they? Somebody put that on the Twitter. One of the West Coast guys.
Mm-hmm. They're not wrong.
Well, yeah. I'll be honest with you. I can't. This is how bad you are when I'm siding with Whitehaven over you. You know what I mean? Me and you've been mates for a long time. I do radio with you occasionally and stuff like that, and I'm finding myself siding with the dark side.
You can have him, Jordan.
And I'll be honest, I think a lot of Barra players will, especially Luke Cresswell, because this is what you have to say.
He's useless. Absolutely awful fullback, Luke Cresswell.
That's Dan Payne, Luke Cresswell. That's Dan Payne.
Oh dear. I'm going to have to watch every single word I say now, Anna, on this radio.
It's a first for everything.
I know. Thank God I've got a pre-season off to readdress my thoughts.
And you never know. There'll be some more players joining that you can insult.
I'll have a list by the time January comes around.
So as far as you got nothing abuse given to you for when you were doing the comms yesterday.
What, have you got another clip or something?
No, I'm quite disappointed, really. I gave you exact location where you sit as well.
I had someone else came up and shook my hand actually yesterday, just so you know. Someone actually enjoys the shit house that is Dan Payne. There'd be one fan. That's not me, man.
Is that a local celebrity, Dan Payne?
Dear, Tom told you the crack.
Yeah, the Chris Moyles of BBC Radio, I heard.
Why, miss? Come on, you're gonna have to tell me. Go on.
So is Tom's Dan's brother. He went, oh yeah, you should hear soft Dan says. What's he saying now? Thinking, it's going to be a wind up or something. He goes, he refers to himself as a local celebrity.
Oh my!
Does he? He's like, yeah.
God.
I was like, what does he say?
Daniel.
He's like, I'm like the Chris Moyles of BBC Cumbria.
No, Tom's making that up. No, what it was? No, I spoke to. He's talking shy. There was a guy I was talking. Tom couldn't believe this. Right, so there was a guy I was talking to at work. I won't name drop him, bless him. To obviously sort his gas and leg it out, right? And the first thing he said was, "Oh my God, I can't believe I'm talking to Dan Payne on the BBC." And I'm like, "Mate, I'm just here to help you save a few quid." And I told Tom, and he thought it was hilarious. Now he's putting me as Chris Moyles and all this stuff. Yeah, I'm better than Chris.
Cut it there. I got episode 3. I'm better than Chris Moyles.
I'm better than Chris Moyles. I think that's the title.
That's it, isn't it? It's got no context and nothing to do with rugby league apart from the fact that Featherstone Stadium was once named after Chris Moyles. But we're going with that. I'm better than Chris Moyles. Episode 3.
Do you know what? I seen him there when it was a Chris Moyles Stadium, and he almost ran me mum over in the car, and she didn't have a clue who he was. And I won't shout exactly what she was saying, but she called him a few names, and I couldn't give a shit who he is. He just almost ran me over. Proper Cavanite and rant. It was brilliant. Even in Mam, that's Chris Moyles. I've got stories all night, haven't I? So
wow. Your mum must be honoured for getting shouted out on the radio by a local celebrity who right. With Chris Moyles.
Say yeah, can I? Can't believe I'm talking to Dan Payne.
I don't know about you, John. I just feel honoured.
What, to be in the honour in the presence of a local celebrity?
It's good to speak to him on a weekly basis. Well, you get to speak to him on a weekly basis. I have to speak to him most days, unfortunately.
Well, unfortunately, at the minute with this bloody WhatsApp group that we've got, I'm speaking to him on a daily basis. So it's I felt almost honoured to be in the presence of a Barrow local celebrity because no one up here's heard of him.
Well, would you say he's like Chris Moyles as well? Like, just it's his aura, isn't it? It's just amazing.
Well, why is he in bed too? I had no idea. I like Chris. I used to listen to him back in the day on breakfast. But yeah, I don't like. Yeah, Dan's a knobhead, so we're all right. It's all good.
Remember the jingle? It's the Dan Payne Show.
Stop it. Stop.
I think we better end it there, Andy. I can see him going red.
Yeah. Cheers, Jordan. Cheers, Chris. Thanks for that.
I'm not even going to say cheers, guys. No, yeah. See you next week.
All the best, lads.
Drop the microphone. Go on. Mic drop.